Hello everyone, welcome to Heavy Metal Mania with your host Nathaniel Puente, where we're going to play and talk all things rock. We got a really awesome episode today. We have it, the first episode that I'm uploading to YouTube that is completely dedicated to my favorite band in the world, Iron Maiden, my religion. Love everything about them. And today, if you've seen the title of the video, which I'm assuming if you're clicked on it you have, you know that we're going to rank the Iron Maiden single covers. And how many singles does Iron Maiden have exactly? Well, Iron Maiden has released somewhere around, I'd say, 42, 43 singles in their career. It really depends on who you ask and what you're assuming is a single, because there's a lot of extra things that they've released over the years that the typical fan doesn't even know about. The hardcore fans don't even know about some of these. So I'm gonna be listing just about all of them, not all of them though, but different singles have different versions of them which have different covers, so those are also included. But for simplicity, I only tried to include ones that were very different, were very unique, I guess. So in the end, I came up with 55 different single covers to judge, and we're gonna go ahead and do that. But before I do that, right before we jump into that, I want to let you guys know that there are a couple albums that have come out recently that I think you should check out. So if you're into metal, which if you're listening to this, I'm guessing you are, there are a couple albums that were released recently, and I'm going to do this on just about every show, just about 4 or 5 albums I think that everybody should check out. The first one is an album I've already talked about on this show, on my last podcast. It's Warband by the band Archangel AD. Archangel AD is based in Edinburgh, Texas, and are an awesome thrash metal band that every fan of thrash or even just metal should check out, because they are a badass band that I think everyone can fall in love with. The second one is from a progressive death metal band from Russia. It's an album called 1,000 Years of Terror by a band called Skyglow. And Skyglow is composed of only 2 people. The main person in the band is the vocalist Alexander Mokin, who wrote all the lyrics, and the lyrics tell the story of the oppressive Russian government and how it's felt to grow up in a very poor community like he did, and be oppressed by the evil, as he describes it, the evil Russian government. And it's a powerful record, and it's something that I think metal music does great, is using powerful lyrics like that. The third one is an album called Open Your Third Ear by Riptorn. Riptorn is a band out of Florida, and they released their debut album last month, at the very end of last month, June 30th, I think. And it's a good album. It's thrash death metal, so it's really heavy. Some songs about beer and women and all that good stuff. The fourth album is from a band called Viven, and their album is called Las Tripas y el Lodo. Viven is a band based in Spain, so all of their lyrics are in Spanish, all their music is in Spanish, and it's got a progressive metal mixed with punk attitude going on, and I think it's really neat. I think it's an album I really enjoy listening to. The last one is a band that a lot of people already know about, but you know what, might as well just announce their album being out there. Anyway, this is a band called Skeleton Witch, who have put out Devouring Radiant Light. And I'm not a huge fan of the extreme metal stuff, but I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Skeleton Witch, and I think they're really neat. So if you liked their first couple albums, I think you'll like this one. It's cool, so check it out. So those are 5 albums I think you guys should check out. Archangel AD with Warband, Skyglow with 1,000 Years of Terror, Riptorn with Open Your Third Ear, Viven with Las Tripas y el Lodo, and Skeleton Witch with Devouring Radiant Light. So we might as well get into there are 55 different singles, so we have a lot of stuff ahead of us. If you look at the runtime of the video, it's a long one. I don't even know how long it's going to be when it's finished. I'm just recording this on the spot. Have almost no notes prepared for this. Just gonna go in and do it, but you know what, it should be fun. I know just a little bit about every one of these. So number 55 is going to be Wildest Dreams version 3. And why version 3? Well, like I mentioned, different singles have different looking covers, different covers to them. And Wildest Dreams is one that actually has 3. It actually has 4 separate ones, but 3 distinguishable ones. And one of those is my least favorite. It is this one that I'm showing on the screen right now. It is Wildest Dreams version 3, and as you can see, it's just like some Hot Wheel ripped off cars, and this is actually pulled from the music video. And this cover was only used on Wildest Dreams, the DVD version, which if you have that, I don't know, like, unless you're like a huge Iron Maiden collector, I don't know why anybody would have bought this. But either way, it's the DVD version, and I mean, it's just one of those that just has not much to say about it. It's just kind of lame. It's just pulled from the music video, which isn't that good of a music video to begin with. So, yeah, there's that. Number 54 is Wildest Dreams version 2. And Wildest Dreams version 2 is just kind of something pulled out of the Dance of Death booklet, it looks like. I mean, I haven't looked at the Dance of Death booklet in a while, but it kind of has this vibe going on to it. But what you look at when you see Wildest Dreams version 2 is this, just this like skeleton, and there's like some orange, maybe that's flame, something going on, and I think that's his body. So it's another one that just has like some nothing that interesting going on, and you know, that vibe just fits this song, kind of fits the whole album. But this version was released as the CD version to the US. So there's that. And yes, I threw down both 2 versions of Wildest Dreams as the last 2 on the list. Is number 53 going to be Wildest Dreams? The original version? No. It is going to be Virus version 2. And what is Virus version 2? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Eddie is there. I mean, at least Eddie's there, so that's good. He has some kind of costume going on, some kind of thing wrapping his face. There's a bunch of zeros and then some 7s, maybe they're 1s. There's a couple 6s. I don't know. This is one that's always just kind of freaked me out. There's some skulls in the background, and like I said, this is one that's just like a little weird, which I guess that's what Iron Maiden covers are supposed to do. And this one definitely gets me. I never really liked looking at it. Number 52 is one that I think was just a lazy effort from the band. This is Speed of Light. And this cover of Speed of Light is just a complete copy of the Book of Souls cover, but it's in a different filter. It's like dark instead of like where you can see Eddie's skin like being brown and everything. It's just black and white, and I thought that was really lazy. That being said, I do really like the cover of the Book of Souls, but I just thought this was a lazy effort by the band to just throw this on here and not give us any like care in it when they released this, because this was actually released on CD throughout everywhere, and it's not like it stopped people from buying it. They still like flocked to the stores to get this thing, but I just thought that they could have been a little more creative with it. I mean, it was their first single since what, like 2010, 2011, and they do this. I mean, and it's not like they didn't try on the other one, because on Empire of the Clouds, it's so creative on the vinyl. So I don't know why they didn't try it with this and even with the music video. I mean, it's one of the coolest music videos I think Iron Maiden ever did. I'm not the hugest video game fan, but I thought it was really neat what they did with the music video. It was cool. Number 50 is one where I probably, well, actually this is 51. Number 51 is one where I'm gonna have to bring up the fact that when I judge these covers, I'm not judging the songs themselves. I might make a note of the song itself here and then, but this ranking is solely based on the cover itself, not on the song, because when you throw some of these songs so low, people are gonna get mad, and I understand, but This is just about the covers, and this is another effort by the band that was pretty lazy. This is Infinite Dreams, the single off of Made in England. And why would I put this one so low? It's a cool cover. Eddie's on a motorcycle and he has the British flag, the Union Jack flag, whatever you want to call it. The United Kingdom flag, I guess, not the British flag. But he has this flag and he's driving over the crowd. It's cool, right? Well, the reason I put this one at 51 so low is because it's just a complete rip-off of the cover of Made in England. And it's just what I talked about with Speed of Light. It's just a lazy effort. And this one is a slightly cooler cover than the Speed of Light one, than the Book of Souls one. So that's why it's ahead of that one. But still, I don't appreciate that they just kind of copied themselves a little bit and did something that wasn't as unique as maybe we would think. Number 50 is the second version, or the third version, well, what did I call it here? Yeah, the third version, I guess, of Virus. And the third version of Virus makes a little bit more sense than the other version of Virus, because the other version of Virus, it kind of, it doesn't make sense. I don't really know what's going on, but in this one, it does make a little more sense. He does look like some kind of biological virus going on. There's, his like head is there on a petri dish or something. So I guess it does kind of look like a virus. So this one makes a little more sense, but at the same time, it's still kind of weird. It's still like not that cool to me. I've never really liked it. So that's why Virus is so low at number 50. Number 49 is going to be the Angel and the Gambler version 3. And the Angel and the Gambler version 3 is on the CD version that was released. It was a maxi single, whatever that means. I'm not 100% sure what a maxi single is, but that's what it was, and that's where this was released on. And everything about this just like screams to the poor time Iron Maiden was going through in 1998. I think this is one of the lamer covers like ever. I mean, when you think about Iron Maiden, you think about the Number of the Beast, right? You think about the Trooper. You think about Somewhere in Time, something really cool. You think about Eddie being this like figure who's always doing really cool things. And then you look at Eddie on the cover, The Angel and the Gambler, and he's wearing a cape. He's wearing a top hat. The top hat's kind of cool. And he's in front of a steamboat, or some kind of casino, like steamboat mix. I don't even know. Then the sky is all sparkly and everything, and it's just really like lame. You know, this is one that I've never liked, and I've kind of wished it never existed. I kind of wish this song never existed, because I think Virtual 11 is a good album. I think it's a very underrated album. But you know, when you hear The Angel and the Gambler, and it's not my least favorite Iron Maiden song, that being despite me dissing it right now, but there's just so much concerning that song that just feels like a lame second-class effort from the band, and it's just really kind of sad and pathetic to look at. The best thing I think about this single cover is that with the US version, in the booklet, there's this picture that is just so horribly photoshopped. I don't even know what they were doing. I don't know when Photoshop was invented. I'm guessing there was some primitive version of it around in 1998, and it shows hardcore with this picture. And what's going on here? I mean, to me it looks like they were messing around with layers and stuff and the painting, and they just got a paint bucket and blasted everything that was colored a certain color. They colored it all this weird orange fire kind of looking color, and it completely like killed Blaze Bayley. Almost all of Nico too, but Blaze is in the center and his entire body is just engulfed in flames except for his head. And I think that speaks to the era more than anything, that like all this era was meant to do is to make Blaze look like a fool. And they did their best with things like this. You know, I don't know if the band really knew what direction they were going, and I don't even know if they knew there was going to be a band for a while. And that's just like, it's kind of sad when you look at all this stuff. But this picture's just funny, so that's why I wanted to show it. Anyway, number 48 is going to be El Dorado. El Dorado is a single off of The Final Frontier. And when they released singles on The Final Frontier, they went into this theme where the cover of the single was a kind of had like a sci-fi alien comic book theme. And I think that's pretty cool that they stuck to a theme on their singles, that for a specific album they don't usually do something like that. But they did it for this, and it was kind of cool, but I'm not really one into the comic book thing. I'm not really into the sci-fi thing. So it kind of misses its mark when I look at it, especially with El Dorado, because the cover is kind of like weird. A lot of people are going to judge like the Final Frontier itself because they say that the alien on the cover of the Final Frontier actually is an Eddie. I would say, yeah, it is Eddie, and I think things like El Dorado prove it, because, like, who else would that be? Who else would that alien's face be? That has to be Eddie, you know? But I just never thought that the cover is that cool. 47 is going to be Wasting Love. And Wasting Love, the cover of it anyway, is just it was just taken from the cover, or from the music video for the song Wasting Love. And it's an interesting shot of the music video, because if you've seen the music video, you know that it's about some guy. He's getting every woman that he sleeps with, he's getting her name tattooed on his body. And so what's here on the cover is actually like when his name's getting tattooed. But now that I actually look at it, like there's some ink coming off the tool that he has that he's jabbing into this guy's skin. But why would ink be coming off if he's at like the A? Wouldn't that be, I mean, he's already written the whole name. You can see the whole name, it's Sally, and you can see just about every letter. So why is the tool way over here at the A again? It looks like he already finished writing what he was writing. These are questions that we need answered. Number 46 is The Wicker Man version 2. And The Wicker Man version 2 is the version that was released on the CD, where it's just a picture of the band. Bruce has a torch that's on fire, and everyone is just there with a very serious face. And I'm guessing they're just about to burn down the Wicker Man. And if you look at the back of the booklet, yes, the Wicker Man is completely on fire. So I'm guessing that's what the band had planned to do. With the couple of the editions of this CD, including the one that I own, it came with a poster that has some women inside of it, and I don't know who these women are. I think they're from the music video. And there were also some women that would like dance in the Wicker Man whenever they would play Iron Maiden during the Brave New World tour. And so I'm guessing it's those. I don't know. I don't really know who those women are. I don't think many people do. I don't think many people care to know. But either way, they're on a poster. They're on an Iron Maiden poster. But the reason I kind of threw this one down so low, it's not because I don't like it. It's just that it's just a picture of the band that they used, and I think they could have done a better effort than that, because the actual version of the Wicker Man was so cool. I don't see why they didn't just use that on every cover. I don't see why they had to like use the band. I guess it was that they wanted to show the world that Bruce and Adrian were back in the band. I'm not really sure. Number 45 is another way that they tried to show the world that Bruce and Adrian were back in the band. This is Iron Maiden Wrathchild. the 1999 version, which even on the front of it, it says featuring Bruce Dickinson. So that's how you know Bruce was back in the band. I'm guessing like this was an exciting time in 1999 in February when they announced that. And news did not travel the way it does today. It wasn't so readily available for people in seconds as soon as it came out. So I'm sure a lot of people didn't know Bruce was back in the band for a while. And this is one way they tried to announce it back to the world by releasing this version of Wrathchild. I don't know why they picked Wrathchild. Maybe it was picked, I think it was recorded in the studio because it's the same version I think that was on Ed Hunter. And Ed Hunter was a compilation album they released in 1999, which marked the return of Bruce to the band. I mean, it wasn't originally planned that way. When Ed Hunter was first planned, Blaze was still in the band. But by the time it ended up coming out, Bruce had already returned, so they scrapped up this version. They recorded this quickly and put it in there, and it's kind of cool. And then they went on the Ed Hunter tour in 1999 to show the world that they were back. And I've always been upset that that tour was not called the Ed Hunt tour, because that would have been cool. But I guess they learned their lesson with the X Factor, huh? Number 44, I'm sorry. There's a reason I'm screwing up, but I don't want to reveal it. Number 44 is the live version of Running Free. And why would I put this so low? Well, once again, it's just a picture taken live of the band. If you haven't noticed yet, the past few have just been shots of the band. And this is where I'm throwing like all of the single covers that were just lazy shots of the band down. And why did I do that? Well, I don't know, because when you think of Iron Maiden covers, you think of Eddie, you think of something really cool on the cover. You don't think of just a basic shot of the band, because that's what basically every other band does, and it's never really that memorable. But Iron Maiden covers have always been memorable. So when they do things like this, it's just really forgettable. It is unique, I guess you can say, because they don't do it very often, but at the same time, it's not that like I don't care that much. And this one's a cool shot of the band. It was taken from Live After Death, and Running Free, the single, is taken from Live After Death. It's not the full version that appears on Live After Death, unfortunately, but it is a cool song nonetheless, and a cool cover, but not cool enough to get higher than 44. Number 43 is off of Fear the Dark. It's From Here to Eternity, and it's another shot of the band, but the more known cover of From Here to Eternity actually does not feature the band on the cover. It's a shot taken from the music video, but it has some random people on the cover that were in the music video, but I don't know who they are. But I don't know who any of these people are that are on the cover, but I do not think any of them are in Iron Maiden or were ever in Iron Maiden. So, you know, they have the distinction of being some of the only people, probably the only people, to be on the cover of an Iron Maiden single that were never in the band. So, hats off to them. I wonder if they bought it. I wonder if they, like, have it hung up somewhere. I definitely would if I was ever on the cover of anything for Iron Maiden. There are actually 3 different versions of the From Here to Eternity single, the cover, and I grouped them all together in one, even though they're kind of different. They're all taken from the music video for From Here to Eternity, which is a cool music video, but the one that's most iconic to me is this one, where it has the whole band right there, and there's some flames kind of going on in the front. There's even a moon out there in the distance, and this one's a cool one. It's a pretty neat cover for Maiden. And the third one is a little more obscure. You don't see this one very often, but it kind of has the thing that that picture I showed from the Angel and the Gambler has going on. There's these weird flames going on in the background. They probably aren't even real, but like the whole world's on fire, which I guess this song is about being in hell, right? Something like that, so that makes sense. But yeah, there's From Here to Eternity. Number 41 is going to be Wrathchild, but not a version that a lot of people know about. This is Wrathchild that was only released in Japan in 1981. And when Purgatory, the single, came out, it was released just about everywhere in Europe, but it was not released in Japan or anywhere else. But this was what was released in Japan instead. It's Wrathchild, and the B-side is Genghis Khan, just like on Purgatory. And yeah, and this one's kind of cool. It stands out because everything's in Japanese, and this actually predated Made in Japan, I think, so that's neat. Everything's in Japanese on the cover, and it's just a shot of the band when Paul was in it, and it's a cool picture. I like it, but once again, it's like just a lazy shot of the band, and they could have done better. But this is one that not a lot of people know about, and don't try to get your hands on it because it's pretty expensive whenever it's around. So number 41 is going to be another one that I think a lot of people don't know exists, and I didn't even know it existed until a few months ago, I think. And this is one off of Fear of the Dark. This is The Fugitive, and The Fugitive is maybe one of the randomest songs that was actually released as a promo single from the band. Probably more of an idea from the record company, from everything. And the cover is just, well, it looks like it's the band filling out the application for the single to be released, and I think that's kind of cool that they put that. And like I said, The Fugitive, a very random song to pick. They never played this song live. They never really carried any attention to this song. This is one of my favorites off of Fear of the Dark, by the way. And what you're going to get if you ever do find a copy of The Fugitive for some reason is you're going to get the B-sides are Rollover Vic Vela, which I think is the B-side to From Here to Eternity. And there's also an interview where Bruce Dickinson talks about the album and stuff like that. So that's pretty neat. The interview, if you're interested, if you don't feel like paying an arm and a leg for the CD, The Fugitive, the interview is up on YouTube, so you can go check it out anytime you want. So that's always available for people to view. Number 40 is going to be Man on the Edge. And Man on the Edge, which is the first single from the X Factor, the first single that they released with Blaze Bayley on vocals. Man on the Edge, the cover of it is a little lazy, so I'm surprised I even put this one this high. But it's just kind of a zoom in of the X Factor, but this one's a little more in profile of Eddie, a little more closer. You can see his face a lot closer, his brain and everything going on within this surgery that's taking place on Eddie. So that one's always been a little cool, but not that cool for me. Number 39 is going to be Out of the Silent Planet version 2. And there were two versions of Out of the Silent Planet, and the fact that this was even released as a single kind of boggles me. I mean, usually Maiden don't pick the best songs for the singles. That's all I'm going to say, and they definitely didn't here. Out of the Silent Planet version 2 is just a copy of the cover of the Brave New World Tour cover, the kind of picture that went along with Brave New World Tour, which honestly should have been called Brave New Tour. And I'm still bitter about that 18 years later. Brave New World Tour went on from 2000 to 2001, and Out of the Silent Planet was released as a single. And Out of the Silent Planet was only played live by the band like 6 times, maybe less than that. And it was towards the very end of the tour, so I cannot imagine why they would release this as a single. Even the music video for the song is just an out-of-sync recording of the band playing the song, but they're not playing the song, they're playing something else. And it looks like it's just random shots from Rock in Rio, is my best guess. And they overlaid it over this song, which just doesn't make any sense. But either way, it's just a rip-off of that one. So it's one that, once again, I'm surprised I put this so high. But it is kind of cool. I mean, Eddie has the planet in his hand. So that's that. Number 38 is The Final Frontier. The Final Frontier is a song. It's not the full song, but it's a song on the album The Final Frontier, and the full song is actually called Satellite 15: The Final Frontier. And the cover of this actually continues the theme that we first saw in El Dorado. And I would guess, I don't remember what the lead off single was. I think it's probably El Dorado, but the Final Frontier was released sometime after that, maybe sometime along when the album came out. And it continues that sci-fi, that comic looking theme. This one's a little cooler, but it's always kind of made me laugh that there's just this guy floating around in space, which I guess that's kind of what the song is about. But, you know, it's just kind of ridiculous. Not to mention the song itself, I've just never really been a fan of. But it turns out that they actually did release the full thing on a different CD, and depending on which one you own, depending on which CD you own, you'll either have the full version of the song or the short version. And honestly, I don't know why. There are some times when there's like single edits and it's like lame that they would cut out a cool part of the song, like a guitar solo or some instrumental somewhere, and it's a shame that they would cut it out for the radio edit. But with Satellite 15, the Final Frontier, the first part definitely I don't think should even be there. I mean, it's interesting when it opens the concert. When it opens the concert, it works because they know they do that little build up. Despite on any tour they're on, they do that little build up to the actual show beginning. But for the album itself, I think including that long intro on there was a mistake. But that's a discussion for another day. Number 37 is the second version of The Angel and the Gambler. And this one is a little cartoony, but it's a little less cringy, I think, than the other one. It's just Eddie. He's there on a table and he's playing cards with some people, and maybe it is the Angel and the Gambler who he's playing cards with, but there's a skeleton hand, so I don't know if that is the Angel or the Gambler. I wouldn't assume a skeleton would be an angel, but I thought the Gambler was a real person, so I thought the hand over there was the Gambler, but I don't really know if anybody knows what's going on. If you look in the background, there's like an owl, there's some owl eyes, and behind a spider web, and there's some flames going on like always. So it's just kind of confusing. Eddie has a cigar in his mouth, which actually looks more like a pencil than a cigar. I don't know if that's supposed to be a cigar, but this was probably completely done by computer graphics. And computer graphics for 1998, I mean, surely were not the best, especially by today's standards. And Iron Maiden probably had, like, I don't know if they bought like the best they could. I would assume they did. I'm sure they had the money, but it definitely doesn't look like it when you look at things like this. You know, usually I don't mind like graphics being bad. I mean, nostalgia is what it is, but like I feel like there's a certain beauty behind some things that are poorly produced, but they tried the best that they could, but the end product just wasn't that great. But with this, it's just kind of sad because, you know, with Iron Maiden, you're always expecting it to be the best, and then things like this just exist and destroy everything that you thought was beautiful in the world. Anyway, this version of The Angel and the Gambler is on the 7-inch version and various other ones, but the 7-inch is the most notable one that this one pops up on. So number 36 is going to be the second version of Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. And Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, the original version is a pretty cool cover, but the second version was demanded because the first version was banned in various places. So this one came out, and it's just a cover of Eddie. He's in a graveyard, and he has a scythe, and he's gonna kill some people, I guess. So, you know, it feels a little rushed. It's a cool cover, but it's not definitely that cool. The best thing about this one, though, is that on the 7-inch version of Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, on side A, it includes the single itself, Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, as well as the B-side, I'm a Mover. And on the back side, well, you can't play the back side because it's just it just features signatures from the band, and they wish you a happy Christmas and all that good stuff. So, number 35 is going to be Coming Home. Coming Home is the other single, and it's the last one from the Final Frontier. Coming Home was a cool song. I think it's one of my favorites off of the Final Frontier. I think a lot of people can relate to that opinion. But this one, the cover is a little... It's probably the best one of the bunch of the 3 Final Frontier singles. Eddie's there on a deserted land, but it kind of looks like he's there at Earth. because there's a plane in the background and there's a goose running away from him. So I'm guessing he came home. I'm guessing he was out in space and then he landed, crashed on Earth, because there's like a crashed aircraft like right next to him with the Union Jack on it. And Eddie's just there saying, "What's up, peeps? I'm back. I look like a weird alien. I'm ready for another album." And then later on he would travel to Mexico and do some stuff with the Mayans. But yeah, Coming Home is alright. Number 34 is off of Dance of Death. This is Rainmaker. Rainmaker is the second single that came out of Dance of Death. And it's one of the few album covers, I think. I mean, so many in Iron Maiden history, especially a lot of the ones that we've went over recently that are really low on my list, don't make any sense. You can't really tell what's going on. It's just art, you know. But this one, it says what the song says. It's Rainmaker, and there's some rain, and there's some people dancing in the rain. So that's really, it's really all you can say. I mean, Eddie's face is like half cut off. There's some rain. It matches what goes on in the music video. And that being said, on the DVD version of Rainmaker, the cover, and this is the one that I actually was first introduced of, and I didn't even know the blue one existed. So this one is more familiar to me, but it's brown, and I don't understand why it is brown. I guess that's like the real color of Eddie, but I don't understand why everything's brown. I don't know what they thought they were doing when they made the cover for the DVD, but they probably shouldn't have done it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Number 33 is Future Real. Now, there are two different versions of Future Real, technically a third one, depending on who you're talking to, but they're all kind of the same. And the one that I think gets the most recognition is this one, which is, this looks like a complete copy of Somewhere in Time. But it actually isn't, because I think this is just taken out of the video game Ed Hunter, which actually came after Future Real came out. And it definitely looks like that. It really, he's got some guns in his hands, and he's ready to go. He's ready to shoot some things, just like he did in the game. And I can't believe they would release a cover with Eddie actually holding guns. I mean, they don't look like real guns, but they are guns, in video game standards at least. And the other cover of Future Real is just a complete copy, is just taken out of Ed Hunter or something like that. It actually looks like the Eddie that was on Ed Hunter, probably like a predecessor to that actual cover. And it really looks like the Eddie that ended up in the Angel and the Gambler music video, which is a great music video. Everybody should watch that right now. The third one that I mentioned is actually not a cover, but it's a poster that came with Future Real, and it commonly is referred to as the cover of Future Real. Even Iron Maiden did it themselves when they released Visions of the Beast, which is a DVD that has all of their music videos, and well, up until 2001. When Future Real plays, it shows this poster, which kind of resembles the novel 1984 a little bit. There's humans, they're kind of controlled by the electricity, by the computers and all that. So Future Real, I've always thought, well, I was told this by a friend, that it kind of looks like it's ripping off Power Slave a little bit. And maybe that's because in 1998, around Virtual 11, Iron Maiden was kind of just parodying themselves a little bit. They were kind of just copying everything else they had done. But that's a negative. That's a terrible thing to say. I'm not going to say that. But I already did it. Oh well. Number 32. And this is one that is probably going to get a lot of flack, because anytime you dispel anything from the golden age of Iron Maiden, anything from the 80s, you're going to get a lot of negative feedback. And number 32 on my list is The Clairvoyant. The Clairvoyant is a single. This is a live single, I think, from I think it was recorded at Donington 88, something like that. And this is a single that, I mean, the cover, it's kind of like Eddie's face is getting screwed. It's kind of ripped in half, and there's 3 sides to his face, and I guess he can see the truth and see the lies. So there's that going on. His eyes are coming apart. There's all sorts of crazy stuff happening to him. But to me, this one kind of just copies what the theme was going on of Seventh Son, which this might have been the first time that they actually followed a theme with their single covers. I don't know. I mean, if you want to say that. Well, actually, no. I mean, there's the Sanctuary and Women in Uniform, but this one, like, kind of just, I don't know. I feel like just that the Evil That Men Do and Can I Play Madness were better. It kind of makes the Clairvoyant seem kind of, I don't know, forgotten. I do like that the text is sideways for both the song and the single name, so that's one thing to note. It is kind of low, but you know, you gotta throw something out there. Number 31 is going to be Tail Gunner, which is another one that some people might not know was actually released as a single. Tail Gunner was just released as a promo, and it featured this on the CD and on the cover. And I mean, it is what it is. It is what the song says it is. It's a tail gunner. It's Eddie as a tail gunner. I've just never been a big fan of the actual Eddie himself, his face on most of the No Prayer for the Dying stuff. Number 30 is the final version, well, the original version, I guess, of the single that owns the bottom 2 spots on this list. This is Wildest Dreams. And Wildest Dreams is, it makes it for a good t-shirt, you know? But that's just about all you can say. I mean, there's a car driving in or out of Eddie's mouth, and it's a shot taken from the music video. What a surprise. Eddie's got a top hat on. It's, you know, it's forgettable, but it's kind of cool. Number 29 is The Angel and the Gambler. Speaking of forgettable, we have this, The Angel and the Gambler. And this is my favorite one from the 3 versions that came out of The Angel and the Gambler. And Eddie has some dice, he's rolling them, and his head is just there. There's some electricity stuff going on in his eyes or something. There's a flame at the bottom, like always. And yeah, so this one I've always thought was a pretty neat one. Even way back when I was first getting into the band, I always kind of liked this cover. And even to this day, it's I mean, it's my 29th favorite, but it's still my 29th favorite. You know, it's ahead of a lot of other ones. Number 28 is The Evil That Men Do, and just like I did with the Clairvoyant, I'm going to throw down this one because I don't really like the theme that went on with a lot of these Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Even the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son cover itself, I'm not the hugest fan of. I know that's a horrible thing to say, right? How could I not like the cover to Seventh Son of a Seventh Son? And it's not that I don't like it, it's just compared to everything else they did, it just feels like a little bit of a letdown when you compare it to its predecessor. It's definitely better than the No Prayer for the Dying cover, though. But whatever. The Evil That Men Do, once again, it has the text sideways, so that's kind of cool. But what's going on? I mean, there's a guy trapped inside of Eddie's mouth. There's a bat on his head with a contract. Some stuff's going on. I don't really know what. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Eddie's face is just up in smoke, just about to explode and die. Number 26 is the original version of Out of the Silent Planet. And the original version of Out of the Silent Planet features Eddie in something of a press conference. And he's being interviewed for what exactly? I don't know. Maybe he's an alien. Maybe they want to know what to ask him. And he's like, he looks pretty angry at what the reporters are asking him. And even on the cover, even on the picture disc, alright, that's what this is? Yeah, it is a picture disc. It's on the back, there's like a picture of the reporters asking questions and stuff. And so I'm guessing it has to do something with aliens. I guess this is like the first hint that they're going to do like a full-on theme of this in the Final Frontier. Number 26 is the original Iron Maiden cover, the first place where Eddie technically showed up on an Iron Maiden cover. This is Iron Maiden's first single. This is Running Free. And Running Free is really neat because there's a lot more going on than originally meets the eye. Now, the reason I put this so low is just because like Eddie's there, but you can't really like see his face, and I don't know, this one just feels a little like maybe there's a little too much going on. You got a hand sticking out, not really sure whose hand that is. You have this guy doing like I don't know what if he's dancing or he's stuck on one foot, and he's been stuck on one foot for 38 years now. And he's like doing this twist kind of thing, and his whole body just seems really messed up. I don't know what he's doing. Then you have Eddie in the background with a broken bottle, and you know that's Eddie, but his face looks a little small for his body, and that's one thing I should note. His hair's a little messed up, but it is how the hair appeared on the first album. There's the coolest thing I think about this album cover is the bands that are kind of written on the back. It's John, you got Judas Priest, Scorpions, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, probably some other stuff that I can't really make out right now, but yeah, this has always been a cool cover. It's definitely classic. It's the first one where Eddie appears on an Iron Maiden cover. So, yeah, cool. Number 25 is the 2002 edition of Run to the Hills. And the 2002 edition of Run to the Hills features Eddie and Bruce Dickinson. Bruce Dickinson has Eddie's head. Or Eddie, I don't really know how to describe what's going on. It looks like a picture that's taken from the Brave New World tour, and I think this is a live version. Actually, it features both the single version, the original single, and the live version. And the profits of this single went to the Clive Bird Aid Foundation or something like that. So that's pretty neat. Clive Bird was dealing with some bad sicknesses in 2002, with the ones that eventually took his life, unfortunately, in 2013. But Iron Maiden did what they could to help him out, and they did it by doing things like this, by raising money through the sale of this single. And the cover that came out of it, it's pretty cool. The head on Bruce, which is Eddie's head, is taken straight out of the Wicker Man music video. So that's the head that they were using around this time for Eddie, and it makes its way on Bruce's head, so that's kind of cool. Number 24 is another version of Run to the Hills. This is the live version of Run to the Hills that was released off of Live After Death in 1985, and it's just Eddie. He's out in some mountains. He has a organ, and he's playing it. And it looks like the organ even has Eddie's face on it. I don't know how intentional that was, but it looks like it. And yeah, it's a cool cover. It's one that I think would make a cool shirt. You don't really see shirts with that on it very often, but I think it would make a pretty cool shirt. Number 23 is Be Quick or Be Dead. And Be Quick or Be Dead came off of Fear of the Dark in 1992. It was the lead single off of that album. And it features Eddie on the cover, and he's choking a politician who did some bad stuff. I do not remember 100% who that man is on the cover. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to depict some British politician. I'm not exactly sure who. Not 100% knowledgeable on the British politics in the 1990s. But I do know that some stuff was going on, some bad, crooked stuff was going on in the British government. Which one is it not? You know? But Eddie was there to choke him and make him pay. So, yeah. It's a cool cover. It makes a really cool shirt. I've seen some really awesome t-shirts of Be Quick or Be Dead. The one where like the newspaper is the entire print of the shirt. It's one that I would love to own for myself, but I don't know if I ever will. They're usually very expensive. Be Quick or Be Dead, either way, is a cool cover that definitely I think has stood the time for hardcore Iron Maiden fans. It's definitely a notable one. Number 22 is Women in Uniform. Women in Uniform, that is. And Women in Uniform was a single that Iron Maiden released after their debut album came out in 1980. And when they released it, it was a cover of a Skyhook song, which is an Australian band, and the band really didn't want to do the single, but the record company kind of forced them to. and they got into some controversy with their guitarist Dennis Stratton, and yeah, it wasn't a very good time, and they ended up kicking out Dennis Stratton. But they did record their first music video for Women in Uniform, and Dennis Stratton was the only music video he had appeared in with the band. So there's that. And the cover itself, it has Margaret Thatcher. She's there. She's ready to kill Eddie, who is being surrounded by some women. And Eddie is quite the womanizer, as we can tell. And Margaret Thatcher is ready to take him out, because Margaret Thatcher already appeared on an Iron Maiden single. She was there on Sanctuary, which will appear somewhere else on this list. You're just going to have to wait a little bit to see where. Number 21 is Holy Smoke. Holy Smoke is the was the opening, was the debut, was the yeah, I guess it was the lead single on No Prayer for the Dying. It came out in 1990 for No Prayer for the Dying. Yeah, I already said that. And it makes an awesome shot. Eddie is standing on some TVs that are on fire, and he's holding up one that has an eye on it. And the whole premise of Holy Smoke, the song, is about TV evangelicists, or TV evangelicists, right? It's a tough word. It's not a word that I say very often, but anyway, TV people on TV who make money off of people's hopes and steal all their money and kind of preach the word of their religion without actually practicing it themselves, because they do some evil stuff. And every now and then you'll see in the news that another TV evangelicist is doing something poor, is doing some poor choices. And every time that happens, I'm just reminded of this song, because it's pretty true. And it's pretty humorous in nature, the song is, as is the music video, but it still gets its point across, though. Number 20 is from Killers in 1981. It is The Twilight Zone. Well, not The Twilight Zone, it's just Twilight Zone. And Twilight Zone was released as a double A-side. It was packed with Wrathchild on the other side of it. Both of them were called A-sides. And Twilight Zone has a woman who a lot of people would say is Charlotte herself, because, you know, Charlotte the Harlot and all that stuff. And then Eddie is dead, and he's trying to contact her, but he can't, because he's stuck in purgatory. He's stuck dead, and he cannot talk to his beloved woman. And something you should note about a lot of the early Derek Riggs drawings on Iron Maiden, especially around the time of Killers, is there's always a silhouette of a Grim Reaper in the background. You can catch that in just about every cover. This one, you can see the silhouette of the Grim Reaper out there, out of the window. And take a look at just about every cover from about 81 to 80, I'd say 83, and you can find one somewhere. On most of them, not all of them. There's also usually black cats all the time in them, and that continued up until about Live After Death. And the black cat here is on the bed. That's not too hard to point out. Eddie is on the picture, and this one's always neat because there's like a lot of stuff going on, but not too much. Not too much that it distracts you from what the actual purpose of the cover is. So that's number 20. Number 19 is Can I Play With Madness. Can I Play With Madness is the single that came off of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and this one's my favorite because it's a lot more straightforward. You can actually see Eddie's head and everything that's going on. There's a fist flying through his head with a spring at the end of it. There's a spoon that's getting some juice out of his head, out of his brain matter. There's even a fly on the cover. So if anyone's asking to play with madness here, it is Eddie, as he usually is. So that's number 19. So number 18 on the list is going to be 2 Minutes to Midnight, the single off of Power Slave, which a lot of people like this cover, so I'm going to get some hate here, but 2 Minutes to Midnight is never been one of my favorite songs. I know I said I wasn't going to base this on songs, but this is one that I couldn't help myself. It's a neat cover. There's a lot of interesting imagery going on here. You have the the explosion in the background, which says what the song is counting down to, which is complete destruction of the world. There's flags in a circle behind Eddie, which kind of mimics like the way the UN has their flag. So there's some kind of joke in there about that, some kind of a message. And Eddie is pointing at you, at me, at whoever's looking at this cover, and saying, like, I guess it's time to go. He has a gun and he's ready. He's ready to fight for what he believes in. Are you? I'm not, but we'll see. Number 17 is the original version of Virus. And the original version of Virus features Eddie on the surface of what looks like a motherboard for a computer. So he's actually like a computer virus, which I think is a cool play on. And I think the weird thing in the 90s is Iron Maiden was trying to get into like the computer stuff. I mean, they even released a video game in 1999. So they were I think they thought they were being high tech. I think they thought they were being ahead of the time, but some of it just ended up looking goofy. And this one, I've always liked it. I've always liked the Eddie's head on here, and yeah, so this has always been a cool one. My favorite one that came off of Virus, and this is one that was featured on the 12-inch version of Virus, as well as there's a couple of other CDs that had this one, but most of the editions of Virus had the ones that were a lot lower on my list. Number 16 is the original version of The Wicker Man, and The Wicker Man, it has Eddie as an actual Wicker Man, and there's some people there gathered to watch him burn and disintegrate to the ground, and they're ready to join in their cultish behavior or whatever the heck they're doing. And The Wicker Man is a really neat cover. It makes an awesome t-shirt. It's always been one of my favorites, and it's here at 16, so why not? Number 15 is off of No Prayer for the Dying. It is Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. Has Eddie on the cover. He's holding a woman who's presumably your daughter, who he's holding, and there's a lot of madness going on within the cover. Underneath them, there's a lot of monsters and ghouls ready to take your daughter. Maybe take Eddie. Maybe he's taking her down there. Who knows? But there's a poster on the wall that says, "Hey, Iron Maiden's live, so come check us out." Maybe that's where this woman was going when she ran into Eddie. I would run into Eddie's arms just the same. He has an axe, so you know what? Maybe he's gonna kill her. Either way, it's always been a cool cover. Always liked it. Cool stuff. Number 14 is Hallowed Be Thy Name, and not the Hallowed Be Thy Name. They did not release that as a single when it originally came out in 1982. Hallowed Be Thy Name was released as a single in 1993. It's a live version taken from, gosh, I don't even know. Maybe live at Donington. Doesn't really say. I wouldn't be able to really think. I don't think it was taken at Donington. It was sometime in 93. I'm not even sure if this is the version that came off of a real live one, because it wouldn't make sense to release a single off of live at Donington, because when that was originally released, it was only released in a very limited capacity, whereas a real live one and a real dead one were not. So a real dead one would probably be where this came from. And the cover of it has Eddie. He's killing Bruce, because this is one of the last things they ever released with Bruce Dickinson on it before he left in 1993 to focus on his solo career. And so Eddie is kind of just killing Bruce and saying, "Goodbye, buddy. See ya." And I've always thought that was really neat. It's a really cool cover. It has Bruce. I've said this a million times, but it makes a badass t-shirt. And kind of mimics what they did when Paul Di'Anno left the band in 1981. They released Made in Japan, and the Venezuelan version of Made in Japan has Eddie holding Paul Di'Anno's head. So we killed him. And I always feel bad for Blaze Bayley that he didn't get his own like send off from the band. They kind of just killed him off without even noting it, which is kind of messed up, but that's kind of how the band was towards Blaze all along. Number 13 is Run to the Hills. Run to the Hills is off of the Number of the Beast, obviously, and it was a fantastic single and sparked the beginning of what was a beautiful era in Iron Maiden history. And this cover itself is just fantastic. You have Eddie trying to kill the devil, and it's an awesome cover. Awesome cover. I wish I'd put it higher, but there are just some that are better than this one, I think. Just a tad. Not by a lot, but this one is really neat to look at. Eddie is about to kill the devil, or maybe the devil is going to kill him. But either way, there's all of hell watching them as they fight above this plateau. Number 12 is off of the X Factor, surprisingly. Number 12 is Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Flies has Eddie strapped to a chair, and there are giant flies around him, and I think that is just hilarious that they would actually go to that literal to show the meaning that literal, to actually put flies around Eddie as if he's the lord of literal flies, because the song itself is based on the book Lord of the Flies, the novel, where some boys get stranded and each of them tries to be the lord of the other boys, the Lord of the Flies, and it works. It works well. This is a cool cover, and I've always enjoyed it. And a lot of people might be surprised why this one's so high, but I just love that pun. I just love that they were so literal with Lord of the Flies, you know. Number 11 is from 1983, and it is Flight of Icarus. Flight of Icarus is a single that came off of Peace of Mind, and it is the last one for a while where Eddie actually had hair, because once Peace of Mind came out, he was lobotomized and had no more hair. And in Flight of Icarus, Eddie is he's just burned down Icarus. He just shot him with a flamethrower or something, and he's hightailing it out of there. He's flying, and Icarus is burning to his death. He's falling to his doom, where some people at the very bottom of the pit are climbing up on a mountain. They're doing some sexual activities or something. I don't really know what's going on, but Flight of Icarus is really cool. Number 10 is the second single from the Book of Souls. It is Empire of the Clouds. And Empire of the Clouds features Eddie kind of destroying this giant spacecraft, the R-101. Yeah, so he's the reason that the R-101 is destroyed. And the cool thing about Empire of the Clouds is, like, the cover itself isn't just like the picture that's going on with Eddie on the vinyl. It also stretches to the exterior of the single on the actual cover, where there's like this newspaper going on in the inside of the single. It just has like this big like newspaper story about the actual accident that the song is about, and it's just really neat. And yeah, so if you haven't heard Empire of the Clouds, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out, because it's cool. This is one of my favorite possessions that I actually own myself, because when this was released, it was on such a limited capacity that they sent these out, and it's really cool. The B-side of it is actually called Maiden Voyage, which tells the story behind Empire of the Clouds. It's told by Bruce Dickinson and Nickel McBrain. Interestingly enough, Maiden Voyage is the oldest known bootleg. It's the name of the oldest known bootleg to exist among Iron Maiden fans. It's from 1979, I think, maybe 78, and it's with Paul Di'Anno, but it's the oldest one like out in circulation. There are older ones somewhere, but Steve Harris probably has most of those. Maiden Voyage is also the name of there was a band called Iron Maiden before the Iron Maiden we know, and they released one album in 1970, I think, and it was kind of like a doom rock album, and the name of it was Iron Maiden. And yeah, so it's a pretty interesting album if you ever get a chance to listen to it. Anyway, number 9 is Stranger in a Strange Land, the single off of Somewhere in Time. And Stranger in a Strange Land features a cover which kind of mimics like Star Wars mixed with Clint Eastwood movies. I guess that's who Eddie is supposed to be here. He's in some kind of like bar. There's a little sign at the in the back that says it's 11:58, so it's 2 minutes to midnight. And Eddie's showing up. Maybe Eddie is showing up because you see people playing cards on the very front. Maybe he's showing up to see like the Angel and the Gambler. Maybe like this is like that moment. I don't know. I mean, the aliens that are like around here, they kind of resemble like the aliens that were in the Angel and the Gambler music video. So there's probably some tie-ins between those two. Number 8 is Sanctuary. Sanctuary was the second single off of the original Iron Maiden album, but it was only released in the UK, I think that's where this was. No, it was put out throughout Europe, but on the UK version of Iron Maiden, the debut album, they did not include Sanctuary because there were already different versions of Sanctuary out there in the public in England, so they only put it on international releases of Iron Maiden. But they did release this single, and it's pretty neat. It got them some controversy in the British public. Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Maiden, or the Iron Lady as she was often called, the Prime Minister of England at the time, is seen dead, passed out at least, under Eddie, who presumably has just stabbed her. Or who knows what's going on here, but it definitely looks like Eddie is trying to kill Margaret Thatcher and Iron Maiden is trying to kill the Iron Maiden. But there's only one. Anyway, the reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg is number 7. And why did I pick the reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg? Well, I think this is the coolest cover that is not from the 1980s that Iron Maiden ever did. I think that the Eddie here is just brilliant. I think his scythe, like, it just looks like everything about this just looks badass. He's right in front of Benjamin Brigg's grave. I have a poster of this because I just really love this cover. I'm surprised I didn't put it higher, but at the end of the day, Benjamin Brigg is a really, really cool single cover and one of my favorites. Number 6 is off of Somewhere in Time. It is Wasted Years, and Wasted Years is just kind of iconic to me. The song itself, everything about it, and on the front it looks like a time machine kind of thing going on. And you look at the little pictures next to the big screen that actually says Wasted Years. Little pictures, they're from various different album covers that Iron Maiden have put out, or single covers at least. I mean, the one in the top left, it looks like it's either from Run to the Hills or The Numbered the Beast. And then you have one from Power Slave. The one in the top right is, I think, from Live After Death. I'm not really sure where this one of the soccer stadium is from. That's when I would have to get a better look at the other album covers to be able to give a good guess. Maybe that's from the Virtual 11 cover, huh? But yeah, I've always really liked this. It's like a time machine. They're going through time. It even has dates on here, right? And you can't wait for 2050, for April 1st, 2050. That's the day that's going to be explained, the day that's going to be like, you know, like, I don't know what's going to happen that day, but we're going to remember this single. I'm going to play it all day in 2050. I'll hopefully be around. I'll be about 53 years old. Number 5. So we're getting to the good stuff now. Number 5 is the single for The Number of the Beast. The Number of the Beast is just so iconic. The song itself, the album, and then the single. They just hit it right off the bat every single time when they released this. And The Number of the Beast, actually, I mean, Eddie's just holding the devil's head. And I don't really even know what it's supposed to mean. I don't even know why he has it. There's fire going on. It's just so cool. I can just picture like what it must have been like when these things were just dropping out every other month when they were just releasing these singles. It just must have been so awesome to just go to the store and see this for sale. Number 4 is one of my favorite songs by Iron Maiden, but it was also released as a single, so it deserves a nod, and it has a pretty awesome cover to it as well. This is Aces High. Aces High features Eddie within the cockpit of a plane, and he's shooting down some other planes, because that's what the song Aces High is about. And this is one of my favorite Eddies, and it's just cool. It has everything going on that should be going on with this song. Cool cover, and I really like the way that they colored the logo for this one. Number 3 is Fear of the Dark, the live version that was taken from a real live one. And I just really love the way that they depicted Eddie here as Steve Harris. Maybe Steve is Eddie himself, I don't know. But they even have Steve's bass, and they even have like his clothes. They even have the strap that Steve wears on his bass, the West Ham little cloth thing. And it's just really neat. It's really iconic. It's just really cool. And like, part of me wanted to put this one lower because it was basically the same thing they used for Raising Hell, but I didn't care. I really love this cover. Number 2 is one that's just a personal, I just really love this one. It's a little basic. I guess you could say that it's not very like exciting, but it is cool to me. Purgatory off of Killers is really awesome, because to me it just deserves a lot of credit, because Purgatory itself spawned 2 of the best covers in Iron Maiden history. Because when Derek Riggs was originally drawing the cover for Purgatory, he drew the Number of the Beast. He drew the album cover, the Number of the Beast. But Rod Smallwood, the band's manager, decided, no, that's way too good. We're going to save that for something bigger. And gladly they did, because then Derek Riggs turned around and produced this. And I think this is just so awesome, because you have Purgatory. I mean, what is it? You're between heaven and hell, right? You're between both. I don't really know, but that's what's going on here. It's like you're between the devil and you're between Eddie. Like, he's within one, but he's different. And which side would you rather be on? I don't know. I guess I'd rather be with Eddie. And to me, it's just always been an awesome cover. I've always really loved the cover of that one. And here we go. Number 1 on this list. What is it? I mean, if you haven't figured it out already, if there's one cover that you've been waiting to hear, if there's one that's just been missing from your head, well, it's about to be here. And I think a lot of people would call this number 1. This is my favorite cover. I think I would say I like this cover more than I like any other album covers. This one is just so awesome. It's not my favorite song. It's not my favorite song by far. But the cover to this one is just so awesome. I'm just going to say it. Number 1, The Trooper. Just bar none, has spawned so many like awesome things. Just so much badass stuff going on. You have dead soldiers. You have the Grim Reaper. He's more visible here. You have a hand sticking out of the ground. You have Eddie holding that Union Jack flag like it's his life. You have a sword in the other hand. And this cover is just so versatile, because no matter like where you live, who you are, I'm sure at one point you've seen a picture of the Trooper with your country's flag or your state's flag, right? And it's just so iconic. I just really have always loved the Trooper. And that's that. I don't really have anything else to say. So there's the list. We did it, guys. You made it. It has been how long did this take? About an hour and a half. About an hour and a half to get through all of this. If for some stupid reason you're still listening, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming along with me through this journey of ranking all of 55 of Iron Maiden's single covers, or at least the ones that I counted. What are your favorites? What are your favorite Iron Maiden single covers? What are your least favorites? What did you think of my list? So leave a comment, please. I would ask that if you have any suggestions for future videos, I'd love to hear them. What's my next video going to be? Not really sure right now. I'm thinking I really want to do a video on Rush. Maybe get a buddy of mine to come over and we'll do a full video on that. I think I want to also do videos on giving my opinion on 10 albums in each metal genre that people should be listening to, and anything like that. And if you have any other suggestions, If there's anyone that would like to collaborate, anyone that would like to be on the show along with me, I'd really like that. I'd really think that's neat to get other people's voices on here, to so that I'm not just talking to myself for an hour or however long I'm talking for. So it's been fun. It's been really awesome. I'm glad I finally did this. And that's going to be the show for today. And until next time, this is Nathaniel Puente, the Greek god of metal, the Skinny Eddie Trunk, whatever else you can call me. Signing out. I hope you all have a great day. Have a metal day. And stay away from Wildest Dreams version 3.